Is it just me, or does it feel like there's news about Apple every other week? 2 days ago, it was UK versus Apple, where Apple pulled the advanced data protection, and this Friday, we find out that Apple have announced to delay one of the biggest feature that they've announced for Apple Intelligence in terms of personal context for Siri and on-screen awareness by another year. And in this video, we're going to look at 5 things that you need to know as a consumer following the announcement by Apple. So let's take a look at the statement first. Siri helps our users to find what they need and get things done quickly. And in just past 6 months, we've made Siri more conversational, introduced new features like Type to Siri and product knowledge, and added an integration with ChatGPT. We've also been working on a more personalized Siri, giving it more awareness of your personal context as well as ability to take action for you within and across your apps. It's going to take us longer than we thought to deliver on these features, and we anticipate rolling them out in the coming year. Following the statement, I can see the things that are going to be delayed is the personalized Siri, where it can look at your personal context and have on-screen awareness. So for example, your friends have sent you files, you can ask things like, show me files that Eric has sent, or where have I been with Tom or Charlie, and then it should be able to pull that up. And then also screen awareness. If you're form filling and you need your passport number handy, it should be able to sort of help you with that, with all the information that's available on the device. And this is the biggest feature that I was personally waiting for, because the only feature that I use on my iPhone is basically get Siri to do my little things like set an alarm, change a song, what's the weather, and very mundane tasks, things that have existed for many years. I still use that, and I think that is the perfect way to get users to interact with your intelligence features. I mean, things like the writing tools and summaries and stuff like that, different things apply to different people, and it's not for everybody. And I feel like if you bake something into Siri, it would be much more easier to get everybody on board. So firstly, this delay is actually going to draw out the entire rollout for over a year. It's already been 9 months since WWDC, and whilst some of the features have made its way to the latest iPhone 16s and 15 Pro Max on a slow-phased rollout, another year means the Apple Intelligence is going to be sitting in the production line for almost 2 years. And let's remember, Apple Intelligence was the marketing tool that they've used to sell the iPhone 16s. And the second thing that you need to know is rolling this back just makes Apple fall even further behind in the AI game. I mean, they were already falling behind the Galaxy AI. I mean, Samsung did a really good job on the S25 Ultra when they released the phones. The AI just worked out of the box. They didn't have to sort of slow roll any of this, and they were just gutsy to sort of do whatever they need to do to get a device out in a working condition and delivered on their promises. And recently, Honor AI's features in terms of, getting the AI to book a hotel reservation and watching the phone actually do the reservation in front of you is all groundbreaking. And whilst with iOS, we are still talking about, another 9 to 12 months down the line to even get something remotely closer to what's available on Samsung from day one. I mean, in terms of what they've actually released, what is everyone using? Drop me a comment to let me know what you're actually using. I've tried my hands at writing tools, and then I haven't really gone back to it, mainly because I used Gmail. Playground, it didn't give me the desirable effect that I needed. It was super time consuming and looked childish. The summaries was good. I used that. That sort of needed to go back to the production line to make some changes to come back. But outside of that, the feature that they are delaying is the only thing that seems to be, the game-changing feature, and they're just not there yet. I just don't know. By the time it releases, I'm not really sure how Google, Samsung, Honor, and every other companies focusing on AI would have evolved their game. And the third thing is that Apple haven't apologized to their consumers yet. This news broke out through their closed press circles, and it appears that they've invited some press people that they knew to just say that, we're delaying it. That's fine. The news got out to the world, but what about all the people that have bought the iPhone 16 because you marketed the device based on Apple Intelligence being made available on those devices. And more importantly, Apple Intelligence being made available on iOS 18. If Apple don't apologize, hold their hand up, I'm not really sure where they stand here, because as it stands, it looks like it's false advertising. The stuff that they omitted are slowly being removed from some of the marketing materials. They have removed some videos from their YouTube channel. They are slowly unwinding stuff. So they are acknowledging that with now this feature being pushed back, some of these things existing in their marketing collateral could be deemed as false advertising. A report in Bloomberg says the close colleagues within Apple have indicated that the product is not up to the mark, and it could also be classified as, false advertising. But what happens to the users that have eventually bought them? I'm sure there are some users that have actually bought these devices in the hope that they are going to get the Apple Intelligence in a full-fledged way. They haven't got that. Fourthly, I think the consumers are still left in the dark. What does the term "we anticipate rolling them out in the coming year" actually stand for? What does coming year mean? Does it mean it's early 2026 or mid 2026 or even to the end of 2026? Remember, the Apple Intelligence was supposed to come end of 2024. So coming year could mean end of 2026. If that means end of 2026, that means it's definitely not on iOS 18. It might also miss the iOS 17 release, and it might also miss the iOS 19 release. As it stands, I won't be surprised if it doesn't make it to the iOS 19 and the iPhone 17 is being sold as, the AI is still in beta, some of these features are still coming. They might repeat the same trick again. And the fifth point I want to share with you guys is I think a lot of the issues here with the Apple Intelligence stems from the fact that Apple only have a limited amount of data to probably process all of the requests or to make the product feel meaningful or to compete against other programs like OpenAI, Samsung's AI, Gemini, and whatnot. The reason why they don't have enough data is because they've taken a massive stand on privacy and how they are very privacy centric, and they don't really need to see all the data. And it's also mentioned in Apple's sites is that they only take data that's relevant to process a request, which is really amazing for the users. And I think a company standing true to its pledge on privacy, that's good to see, because they could have easily said, okay, for the AI stuff, we're just going to capture all the data, and that's going to help machine learning so much, and it's going to help feed the system more information to make the system a lot better and optimize the system effectively. But they haven't done that. And I think they are struggling because they don't have enough information to process that. And I think this delay is probably just an Apple's way of trying to find how they could model the intelligence software much more better than what it is, using the limited data available to Apple. I mean, one of my biggest gripes with the likes of ChatGPT is that the minute you search something or the minute you install, you're almost selling away your soul. The amount of data it leaves your device is insane, which is probably helping these companies build their platforms and softwares so much better than Apple are able to. But I'd rather Apple take it slowly and do not compromise on any of my data than try to rush something or go against some of their principles and make it worse and just be the same as everybody else. To summarize, the way how I see it is we can all sit here and laugh at Apple because they've got so much money. They could be doing a lot better than what they have. Apple seem to use the mantra, when they work on something, they do it the Apple way. But it so happens to be that the Apple way has backfired, and especially on the Apple Intelligence, it has backfired massively. And they still haven't apologized to any of their consumers for not providing the features and functions that they said will be here in December and will be here in iOS 18. There are customers who have bought iPhone 16 with the promise, and all they would have seen was just the advertising that Apple have marketed to say, yes, I'm going to get this function. Yes, I use Siri the most, and it's going to be more personal. It's going to be contextually aware. It's going to know what's on my screen and help me get my job done. And people that have bought into the sales pitch have been massively let down here. So don't just release a news to say, oh, we're rolling back and because we realize it's not good enough. What are you going to do to the customers that have actually bought these devices, and how you're going to put things right? However, considering everything, we could be super critical of Apple here, but it takes guts to actually take the feature that they've announced globally back to the production line to rework it. I think what needs to happen is they don't need to go back to the production line. They need to go back to the drawing board, completely back to the basics, invest in staff, invest in resources, get rid of the current infrastructure of Siri, and then build it from ground up. Build it the way how you want, build it for the future. That is the best way to do it. And if that needs an extra year, then yeah, take it. And I'm glad that they're going to do that. So I don't want this video to be super critical. I think it is, in a nutshell, it is technologically concerned. I think it is a positive move, because at the end of the day, we are at the infancy of AI, and we're already talking about so much amount of data being released. And if this delay means our data is going to be protected, I'm all up for it. But heck, at the end of the day, all this has done is given you extra RAM on your devices, and you can only buy 16 GB RAM as a base model when you go to buy a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. So in that way, don't beat yourself too much, because we've managed to get something of Apple which we never used to get. But if you want to share anything else on this topic, do drop a comment. I don't know how many of you guys are going to watch this video. I think some people might skip it, but there's no point making videos to make it clickbaity or to force people to watch it. If you're still here, thank you for that, and I'll see you in the next video.